welcome to episode 5 of the Patriot Generation. We're all back together again, here to record another roundtable discussion. Our topic today is a question. Why does childhood look so different now than when it did when our parents were children and their parents were children and all of that? Things are very different now, and we're wondering why. So, how are you guys all doing today, now that we're all back together?
Good. Happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. I don't know about you guys, but I think there's a lot we can cover here.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed.
I think something interesting is to look at Gen Beta and what people predict for the newest generation, and it's just not good at all. Like
they're just being born now. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2025 thing, and they're going to be on the most medication. They're going to be the most integrated with technology. They're going to have the highest depression. Apparently, they're going to have the longest lifespan, but is that going to be a good life? That's really the question that we're going to talk about today. So,
right.
Yeah, what do you guys have to say?
I mean, the thing is, all that stuff, it isn't written. You know, it's likely, but we all have a choice. We are going to actually be, like, us and Gen Z are going to be the parents of some of Gen Beta if we get married young and have children young.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so... We need to, this is us.
It goes to 2025 to 2039.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to have kids before 2039. I pray for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
sure.
This is a pressing topic. And I think one of the things from childhood that is different now is kind of this, like, replacement of adventure with other things. What do you guys think about that?
I definitely think the main thing adventure has been replaced with is just like video games.
Yeah.
And like it used to be I'll feed you dinner once you come home.
Yeah.
Don't come back until the streetlights are on.
Like the 80s childhood. I've always wanted that, man. That sounds great.
And then also, and now it's literally just like, here, I'm going to go do a meeting, stare at this screen for 2 hours.
They're like pacifiers, yeah.
Or even at the dinner table at the restaurants, there's literally pay pads that you can get, you can buy an iPad for your kid at the thing.
Really?
Yeah, you can rent them at restaurants to entertain your kid.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh, he's so entertained.
I mean,
entertained but gone.
Yeah, I guess I could understand, coming from their perspective. Like, I just want him to be quiet at this public place, but that's not. You're damaging your kid in the long run and making everything way worse.
Changed from spankings to screens.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
iPads.
that's true. So to go back to the adventure being replaced with video games and the internet and that kind of stuff, you rarely see kids playing outside in their front yards anymore. That's a rarity. We didn't have a childhood like that, or at least not mostly, but that's common,
I feel like what I see is the good old days for what we're talking about, the days that were peak for this and didn't have these issues were before us.
Oh yeah.
We've been a little more integrated.
We were the middle ground. We started off that way, and then it kind of changed.
Yeah, I was born in 2007, so I lived a very my life was very early 2000s. My parents didn't really have phones for a while. We had a really really old 80s TV, so we weren't that connected. But as I came here, I started to see people with phones, and that began to be more evident in my life, and that came about in 2019 or so, 2017.
You're right.
So
yeah, we all the phone in all of our childhoods. I don't know about you guys, but I think it was, at least for me, the top tier gift. I will ascend once I get a phone.
Absolutely.
As someone who only has a flip phone, and it's just thinking about how we have so many friends, I bet Elijah, who I'm talking about, who just got a phone and immediately just became the worst people imaginable.
Yep.
And one of the biggest examples of that in my life is actually my sister, who used to be so social, so much hanging out with the family, and then the moment she got her phone, she just became
this is a public podcast.
She won't listen, don't worry. And if she does, she'll be able to take a little bit of conviction.
Okay. So, all that to say, phones don't help kids.
Exactly.
Hey, maybe she'll watch the podcast on her phone.
Oh,
Probably.
whoops. Whoopsie.
I guess you can understand why you didn't get one, right, Cameron?
But yeah, I think, I mean, obviously the adults are at fault at this because they're the ones giving the child the phones, and also it's weird because kids today are not nearly sheltered enough, but at the same time they're way too sheltered. Like, they're not able to just go out and explore. It's like they have to be watched every 5 seconds by, like, Life 360. They have to, like barely walk around by themselves, can barely go anywhere, can barely explore. And I am blessed to the fact that my parents are pretty lenient with that, and I have a lot of great memories just going out and exploring in the woods and finding all this cool stuff and just going out and doing things with my friends. But most kids don't really have that.
I think the outdoors is just kind of this, like, lost thing. It's more like the internet now. Like, video games where you can just get all of those, like, emotions that you want to find of exploration and, like, creation and building things and, like, this, like, discovery and creativity that kids have. You just find that through a video game now. Whether a good video game or a bad video game.
It's a false sense of achievement, which is a big trap, because when you're not actually achieving anything, but you, like, because everybody, like, needs that sense that they are achieving something. When they fill that with something that doesn't matter versus something that is, like, actually detrimental to you becoming an adult or just a, like, rounded human, when they replace that with false senses of achievement that really are not achieving anything, but it feels like you are. Like, oh, I leveled up. It's like, yes, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I remember as a kid when I was playing, like, Mario Kart, I felt the greatest sense of achievement whenever I would, like, unlock anything or anything like that. Just any video game at all, when I would, beat, like, the final boss or unlock a new cart or unlock a character that I really wanted. It would be, like, the best day ever. I would be so happy.
And everybody needs a sense of, like, achievement. So if we didn't have that false sense of achievement accessible, you'd find achievement as a kid anyways in, like, building a fort, building, like, like a cabin in the woods, obviously, to a certain extent with just sticks and stuff, but you get it. And it's like now when it's easier, because the whole point of a game is not to be impossible, it's to get you hooked. You win, but it's not too easy, but it's also not too hard, and it's like it's so easy to fall into that and only get that false sense of achievement.
And I would actually say our parents were probably right when they thought watching people play video games was the stupidest thing ever. I think that's so true now that I think about it. Yep. Because, like, I'll say this, like, just with YouTube specifically, YouTube is the type of thing that, like, can further any interest you have way beyond a healthy limit. Like, it can get a kid hooked way more on anything. Just because you consume someone, then you play it, then you consume. You can kind of, like, go back and forth. And, like, that's really bad, and it can get people way more addicted because they get to see all these adults play it, so they think it's a normal thing.
Well, about just kind of, like, watching people play video games, I think media as a whole has had way too much of a hold on us. Like, so many of my linguistics, like, so much of my vernacular is made out of, like, movie stuff or song stuff. Like, I was thinking about, like, how so many of my core memories are on screens or something related to a screen.
True.
And I just realized that, like, that's literally an inside-out term.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, I mean, it's a mental health term that they used in the movie, and that's how it became popularized.
Mm-hmm. But just kind of thinking about how we're so much more now shaped by someone else's experience put into media form than our own experiences, especially with stuff like watching travel vlogs, or like you have like the Ryan Trahan stuff where it's like it feels like you're actually or it feels like you're actually exploring and doing all that stuff, but you're literally just experiencing something through someone else's eyes.
It's another false sense of achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think the best forms of media, at least it was like this for me, and still is in a lot of ways. Even though it isn't always like this, I'll often watch something, whether it be a video game or a movie or something, and then I'll be inspired to want to do my own version or create my own version of the thing. And I think that's the best outcome that can come from consuming stories and other people's content and stuff instead of doing it yourself, because then you'll be inspired to do something like that.
Well, I think that's that's the intention of rest. And I think if you treat media as kind of a rest or a detox, kind of like, not in an unhealthy way, but kind of treating it as like a sleep or like a rest between reps, where, especially as an author, a lot of times I'll hit a writer's block area and then pick up a book and read like a page, and I'll suddenly have just an overflow of creative ideas.
Yeah.
And the same way, I think like all these good movie adaptations of books are because the directors and the actors and whoever put it into motion read the book.
Right.
And like so many amazing movies wouldn't have come into fruition if they didn't have inspiration. And so many people will say like, oh, if you take inspiration from someone else, you're copying or plagiarizing. But no art exists without inspiration. But now all of our inspiration is like secondhand or third-hand inspiration and not directly from the source.
Yeah.
Kids aren't really interested in learning either. So like there's adventure, which is like going out, and then there's like learning, which is like expanding your mind and like discovery. And like the public school systems and like way more school systems than that, like the private school systems and all this. Even in homeschool we see this. Where how dare you say that? But like kids like are programmed from a young age to just not like learning. Like this can't be a fun thing anymore.
Well, ever since it became standardized tests where you have to like color inside the lines with your number 2 pencil, and if you get it
it's
wrong,
just like memorizing facts.
and if you get too much wrong, you're gonna have to take the entire grade again, and forget about recess. If you miss a class or if you have an assignment turned in late, we will keep you inside so you finish the assignment.
Yeah,
and don't even think about failing the class entirely. If you do that, you'll have to waste another entire year of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, like who would enjoy learning when the punishment for not learning the way they want you to learn is to just be trapped and like refuse to do anything fun, like all this stuff? Yeah, of course you're not going to enjoy learning.
Yeah, nowadays they're teaching how to pass tests, not just learning. They're not like necessarily trying to make you like learn stuff. As long if you pass the tests, you're fine. If you're learning it but you're not passing the tests, they have a problem.
Right.
And it's just this. It's not the correct cycle to go down if you actually want people to learn and get smarter.
Because the things you learn in school, your application of them is not their application in school. You're not gonna be like, I'm going along life and now I suddenly have a ton of math problems all in a row. I need to all get correct or else something terrible will happen to me. It's like maybe one will come up every once in a while and you'll think back, oh yes, I learned this. But very rarely does that ever happen.
Well, they teach you what to learn, not how to learn.
Yes.
Because I think that you could literally condense the majority of all the things that people are actually going to use into 5 years, 2 days a week. And teach them how to learn and give them a love of learning where you reward good behavior instead of punishing bad behavior, because I actually heard that in some European countries, instead of handing out tickets to people who speed, they will keep track of who drives the speed limit and doesn't run red lights and enter them into a lottery system and make sure that and they'll just randomly select people who are following the law to get some money.
Are you telling me that I can speed in those countries?
And they have the lowest speeding and traffic deaths per capita out of practically any country, which basically proves that rewarding good is more effective than punishing bad.
Yeah, I've always thought that. Normally when I'm trying to remind myself of truth, it's easier for me to get on board with an idea if I remember why it's good instead of why the opposite is so bad. You know, that's easier for me. I don't know.
Because you're doing it because you want to do it, not because you don't want something else.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is bad because this is so good, not because this is really, really bad. It's easier to explain, like, if you're just using any of the things, like gay stuff, for example. It's easier to explain why real, natural marriage is good and healthy than it is to just say, gay stuff is bad. Well, I don't believe in the Bible, so you can't tell me what to do. So it's a little hard to get around that without getting into like societal nitpicky stuff.
it's never left or right. It's never like there's absolute good and absolute bad, because there's always like bad and then bad again and other bad. Like we see it with like all the other religions. Like there's only one good and there's plenty of bad. So it can't just be the opposite of a thing is the good version of the thing.
Or there's also where, like, I think I'm definitely gonna make a few enemies here, but like it's kind of like where they're giving us a one or the other choice when the answer is none of the above, and they tell us to pick someone who obviously isn't great, but someone who says that they're great but doesn't do it in practice.
Yeah.
And like they're telling us to place our trust in one of those two, but that it's called a black and white logical fallacy, when in reality there's so many more options besides just black and white.
Yeah. Very true. But back to the topic of childhood. I think there's kind of another thing that this is less relating to childhood itself and more like parenting, but like gentle parenting, just like like, you know, just I want to acknowledge your feelings, and yet at the same time, no, you can't go out and have fun and explore and play and live like a real kid. You have to sit here and be like entertained by a little iPad thing.
That was literally my subconscious reaction to the phrase gentle parenting. Like, I did not say, I'm going to make this sound. That was literally my first reaction to hearing that.
Good.
Because
that's good hope, yeah.
I've seen so many, like, videos where it's like, your child is yelling and screaming and punching someone else, and then instead of, like, telling your kid, hey, stop being stupid, and stop pummeling that girl, instead, you're like, calm down. Let's go through what feelings you're experiencing right now and figure out how to make this positive.
Imagine if we did that with criminals. Oh, wait, we do.
And then my mom was actually listening to a podcast a few weeks ago where it was basically saying that modern parents, and gentle parents as well, treat negative emotions as something bad. But I was actually having a conversation with someone about a completely different, unrelated subject, and they said that experiencing the bad is one way to reinforce someone's love for the good. So, like, I saw this video where it was, like, this baby playing with a candle, and most parents these days are, like, not allow their kid within 200 miles of a lit candle or matches.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But then the baby was playing with it and, like, getting closer and closer to touching it, and then they finally touch it, and, like, they touch it for, like, a split second, and they're like, oh, that hurt. And then they don't touch it ever again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it being told, don't do this, is not going to have the same effect as doing the stupid thing and realizing, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And another thing that I think is so stupid about how people just keep people from pain is kind of the direct opposite, where they'll kind of, I think there's just an ulterior motive behind all of the media being so over-sexualized and over just, like, goreized, or whatever the word is.
Right.
Just so much blood, so much violence, so much swearing, so much sex, and it's just, like, I just think that the goal of, maybe not the people making it intentionally, but the goal of Satan through all this, I think, is to get us used to things and to sear our consciences, practically. Because one thing that I've been doing a lot, that I've been noticing a lot in the epistles, is that Paul talks a lot about conscience and how, like, specifically the thing where it's like, if you in doing something would cause another believer to stumble, you have sinned. And like the next verse basically said, and if something goes against your conscience, if something goes against someone else's conscience, you shouldn't do it in front of them, practically.
So, is rage baiting a sin?
If it makes me mad, yes. And if I'm the one doing it, no.
Yes,
and we're moving on.
Down to like the millstone verse.
Oh yeah.
Like causing children to stumble. I feel like this kind of plays into that a lot. Like, you know,
Hollywood's cooked.
Yeah.
Hollywood's punishment in the afterlife is going to be so bad.
Hollywood is it's just yikes.
Do you know, like, superhero movies are dying, but, like, The Boys is still, like, so big because of just how, like, violent and terrible it is. Like, people are so entertained by
The Boys is still, like, a big thing.
I didn't know it was still a big thing.
Oh, yikes, that's not good.
Well, I just think that it's all desensitization is what it is. Just because, like, whoever, if it's Satan or if it's someone who's human who's doing this, they definitely have an intention, and I think it kind of is super indicative of just the general moral decline of society, which is which is just another few episodes in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I think that just the fact that so many people, like, I was actually listening to a John Crist bit where, like, it used to be if you saw a movie and they showed, like, one inappropriate part, it was like the CD was getting burned in the backyard. And now, like, you'll go over to your parents' house if you've moved out and they're watching, like, Game of Thrones or something with, like, the worst, most graphic stuff you've ever seen, and you ask them, like, what happened to, like, hear no evil, see no evil, and they're like, oh, chill out, guys. and it's just so many people have declined so much in society, and I think one of the biggest things that we can see that in is Halloween, which is coming up. This is going to be releasing on Halloween, maybe a little later for Andrew's for the YouTube because of.
It's up to Elijah, guys, as you know.
Yeah, it's just my incompetence is going great.
It's just so much now. Like especially online where you see like all the super extravagantly designed Halloween houses where it's just like blood and guts and stuff everywhere, and there's like the blow up Bucky's holding up jack-o'-lantern. And there's like the the cats taking their heads out of a blow up pumpkin. That's the cutesy Halloween. But then you have like the horror movie
the hanging
stuff.
heads from a tree and just a ton of body horror and
It's desensitization, and I think that the end goal of desensitization is to make us willing and able to do this. And this for the same reason.
We're kind of already there.
Yeah, for the same reason that the news. It uses such polarizing language where they say people on the right are fascists and Adolf Hitler and then some mentally ill gay person could just like who's had their mind messed up by just like the internet and everything would hear, oh, there's a fascist going to speak at a college near me, I should bring my gun and get rid of them because they're literally Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And just like for the same reason, like, desensitization, like, just our country has fallen and declined so much sexually as well, like, just with the modern marriage, and, like, I'd say one of the best things a kid can have is a mom and a dad who truly love each other.
Yes.
And as a child of divorce, I want that. And it's like, I know that, like, we have Jesus and we have, like, the perfect example of love. But I was actually talking to a youth leader who was saying that, like, because he had an abusive dad, he couldn't see God as a loving father. He thought of him as a loving mother instead, which is a little hurtful depending on who you ask.
Well, men and women were both made in God's image, so there are character traits from both. Like, God is extremely caring.
Like loving and nurturing.
Yes.
So I can see where it's coming from. Yeah. But like, on the topic of desensitization, sorry to interrupt you, like, I've seen people play GTA. And, like,
another subconscious reaction.
That game, like, I know people who played GTA when they were, like, 5, like, very young. Sorry.
In between the ages of 6 and 7. Like, I know someone who literally was exposed to stuff like that literally at 6, and he's now, like, the worst person I know.
Yeah. But, like, in the game, you're just going up, stealing cars, and it looks so... The worst part is, it looks so fun. It looks so fun to just take a gun and just steal things and just run over people and shoot anything you want, and that's bad. Like, I'm not the kind of like boomer guy that'll just say violent video games are the biggest problem.
Yeah, I don't think that they're.
But this is not helping.
I definitely think though that when talking about video games and like false senses of achievement, which we were talking about earlier. Even, like, the video games that we would call good, like, I'd say, like, your Legend of Zeldas, or your, like, even, like, some video games with Christian themes, like...
Well, any video game can have those base problems. It's just also adding on the fact that the goal you're achieving is, like, literal crime and murder.
I just think that compensating on either side, we're getting people numb to it and underexposing them two problems that are equally as bad.
Yeah.
Because especially for let's say you're living in medieval Europe and you're a knight. Never seeing blood before would be probably the worst thing that could happen to you, because then you go into battle and you're literally taking the lives of other people because you want their land or something.
Right.
And you just freeze. Or I have a friend who literally has seizures to seeing his own blood, which is crazy to think about.
How?
But just
How?
being
Poor guy.
being desensitized and sheltered are two of the biggest problems, because we're desensitized to some stuff and then we're sheltered to other stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go back to the video game thing, and not just directly in desensitization, but also just attention and how it's ruining your dopamine. And I was just wondering who here is gonna let their kids play video games?
I have a long explanation on it, so you guys go first.
So I am right now extremely looking forward to a homestead type thing, where just the only electricity that we have is in this room, where maybe we just catch up on important stuff, and maybe record and release stuff, and just make content. But we wouldn't have such the screen focused houses like we used to, because even though my parents were very anti video game, we had this Wii system, and still so many of my family time memories are gathered around the screen, swinging the remote at the screen.
Right.
And it's just no matter, even if it's the games that are designed to get you to do exercise, the end goal is to replace social interaction and physical with VRs.
An adventure, and what we were saying. In Minecraft, you don't need to go outside anymore. You get the same thing, right?
Yeah.
A little more blocky, but yeah.
Well, what about you, Weston?
I do plan to let my kids play video games. It will be limited, though, of course. It definitely won't be free reign, but yes, I don't plan to have that be a non-existent thing in their lives.
I'm more with Cameron, honestly. I grew up without video games, and it was only when I was 10 or 11 that I started getting a little bit into them and playing them a little bit, and I have some good memories from that, but I almost feel guilty for that, because I'm the type of person that's seeing what childhood looks like, and my core childhood what was completely without that. And then I had a little bit in my teen years where I was really a part of that, and I would go back to that childhood time, that simple time, every single day. And I just think it's only fair to my kids that I can allow them to have that as long as they can.
Yeah. I actually do take a bit of a different view on it. I may be biased because I played a lot of video games as a kid, and I like developing video games, and that's likely going to be a large part of my career. But I will let my kids play video games. It'll be controlled. It won't be from a young age, just random mobile games and all that garbage.
Right.
I'm going to control what they play, and I'm going to play it with them.
It seems we have a divide here. We have Andrew and I who are heavy no.
And that's fine. I think that's a very respectable moral opinion. That's totally fine. But I personally have a lot of really good family memories from playing video games, with my dad and my siblings and stuff, and I want my kids to have the same thing. And I think it's fine, but as long as there's a balance, I think there has to be a balance.
Most things in life aren't evil themselves; it's how you use them. There's a balance to everything.
Oh, but 2 words: real dopamine.
That's true, but you could say the same thing about watching TV or movies or anything like that. It's not.
Well, they used to watch plays.
Right.
They used to watch film.
Yeah.
I think
I will say there is actually a little bit of a difference between movies and video games. Video games definitely do give you a lot more of a false sense of achievement because you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, that is true.
Movies are usually more just entertainment.
And a sense of control. My argument for why I will say that I think that having that I'm gonna not have video games for my kids is because as Christians trying to raise countercultural kids in a society that is so digitized and just focused on achievement and false sense of achievement, where a picture of someone like beating the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom is going to get more likes than someone like writing a book, or someone like actually like getting married and having kids and like actually achieving something in life.
Yeah.
And I just think
Fair.
that as like once I become a father and like just kind of learning from my parents' mistakes, I just think that if you're going to say with your words, don't be on screens, don't do this, don't do that, but then with your actions you do something completely different, they kind of cancel each other out and you leave a blank slate.
That's true.
And especially with video games, it kind of leaves the door open for influences, leaves the door open for so many different things that I think I'd rather just not have in my kid's life.
Absolutely.
Fair.
Absolutely.
And I was actually talking to someone who brought up just the idea that if you're at a homestead, your kids aren't going to experience like the real world, and it's going to be like a real shock when they enter the real world. And I actually kind of stopped because that was kind of the first time I'd ever really thought about that. Because I've held the belief for a while that if you raise them purely in the light, then they will have no reason to escape to the darkness. But then he brought up, if they haven't dealt with the darkness, then how are they ever going to stand up and face the temptation? Which, like, both sides of the argument have merit.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he full out just hates the idea of a homestead and wants me to get into government instead. Because, well, long story, I'll explain it after the podcast. Sorry to your listeners, you'll be left in the dark. Our 3 listeners are so sad right now.
Yeah, alas.
Hey, it was like 70. Don't
How about
be
this,
30.
Elijah? What would you say is controlled video game uses, and which video games would you allow?
Well, it'd be hard to just give like a
Yeah.
list of video games that I would allow, but you know, I'd vet the ones that they'd be interested in playing. I'd introduce them to ones that I've played and have enjoyed, like Minecraft and other games like that. You know, I would control how long they play them. I would be really strict about online games and a lot of these like never-ending games. Minecraft is one of those games. Minecraft, Fortnite, these games that aren't like a story. You just play them from beginning to end. Like, I mean, sorry, you just play them forever, I meant. They're just like live service and they have like microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. So I don't like that.
The games that exist to make money.
But do you
Yeah,
have
no.
like a few games, and do you have like a set screen time in mind?
Like a specific list of games, and none others? No, probably not. And
Give
then,
me 3 games that you are going to let your kids play.
among others, Mario Kart, my own games. I don't know if that counts. No
Unbiased
bias.
opinion, of course.
Yeah, obviously no bias. Yeah, Mario Kart. Let me think here. Probably Minecraft, and then I guess
Zelda?
some like story kind of RPG kind of games that are just simple, just from beginning to end kind of stuff, and you know, just your basic Mario platformer kind of thing.
One thing that I've been actually trying to do is I love designing things from like books to board games, and especially trying to keep a traditional worldview and a traditional ethics. I can't get on the side of making board games with such cheap materials, and like I want to design a board game with the feeling of Legend of Zelda and with the feeling of all these RPGs that build a story.
Yeah.
But instead of being a screen, you actually do it with family, and instead of, like, the power of imagination is so undervalued nowadays.
That is true. I agree with that.
Because now that you can AI generate anything you want, you no longer have
That's
to
that's a
leave it
whole
to
separate
imagination.
podcast, but
AI
yeah.
would be like a 50-part
I
series
mean,
episode.
I
if it was
hope
up to me.
to do. I'm not just gonna advertise my own future product, but I hope when I develop my own games and stories and stuff, the point is to kind of like inspire people to go out and make their own stories, and like just live these own adventures, because it's gonna be based off a true story. So it'll be like, oh, this kid can do it, I can do it too. And most video games aren't like that. They're just they're super super fantastical, which is fine and all.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just unobtainable. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it. But I respect your opinion, and I totally see the points you're making.
I just feel like if I were to submit to the middle ground, I would just end up like everyone else. That's kind of the way that I look at it. Like, I can either invest in like my kid to play Minecraft, or I can just buy some land and he could just go out there and be in nature, right?
Yeah.
Or did I say kid? I meant kids.
Yeah.
My kids.
Hopefully more than one.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Random question. What do you guys think is like the ideal children count?
4. Yeah,
Child count.
4 roughly.
It's 4.
You have.
This is a
Yeah.
longer conversation
Yeah.
for
It is.
for me, so we can talk about that later. Again, sorry to the
I
viewers.
personally stick to the opinion that, like, I mean, it's not like a moral thing, but I personally would like to have an even number of kids, because then they're like, it'll just be like an even amount, just for like practical
Yeah.
reasons, to be able to split them up evenly. Yes, I know I have an odd number of siblings. You're laughing over there, and I'm not saying that my life is miserable or anything like that. But I think it just works better because, you know, obviously when there's like sibling infighting, there's gonna be like a majority side every time, and obviously that can happen with 4 people. But, you know, I just think it works better. I personally think groups of, like, even-numbered groups are better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's, like, a moral thing at all. It's just a preference.
It's like a new religion based off of numbers.
Yeah.
If
Like,
you have an odd number of children, you will be found by the god Algebra.
Algebra.
We're very autism.
Yeah,
We're
Autism.
somehow
Autism
gonna,
is the new Protestant.
this video is gonna get banned for autism.
Yeah. If I were to choose my number of kids, it would be preferably more than 2, but it would be either 2, 4, or 6.
I'm on the homestand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll have infinite room for them, hopefully.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier. Like
The
the
more
one thing I'm
merrier.
scared about is that they'll just have no experience with social interaction, and they'll just be the stereotypical homeschoolers who like come out of the basement one time a year for like the Christmas celebration.
Speaking of home, that took a minute to register. Basement. Okay. Speaking of homeschoolers, I feel like we could probably do a whole separate episode on why our education system has failed us, but I think it goes without saying that homeschooling is by far the best option, despite what he just said.
It's not usually like that.
That's not how it's supposed to go.
Well, I'd say like the stereotypical homeschooler from someone who has no idea
Correct,
what
yes.
homeschooling is.
Well, because like a couple decades ago, the reason that people were homeschooled is if they did have like social problems or or if they just had some type of like disability, like those were the reasons for being homeschooled. Nowadays, with the education system that we currently have in place, there are plenty of reasons to homeschool, and it's because there's a much larger homeschool community now. It's not filled with people who only come out of the basement one time a year. But it used to be not, of course, that extreme, but it used to be more to where the stereotype was very understandable.
But I feel like if you find like-minded people on the homestead and they get to interact with those kids as well, and they learn those skills, and there's 4 kids in each family or something, they surely are learning skills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't keep them from the outside world. Just make most of their upbringing be in this controlled place where they can not have these external factors just go in their mind to stay there forever.
I've said this many times, homeschooling is the greatest gift I have ever received. And just think about it. What sounds better? Being forced in public school where they shove their doctrine down your throat and you can't really talk and you can't really have real social interaction.
And you
just
can't
have
learn the way that
Yeah.
you learn individually. Everyone's forced to learn at the same speed, at the
You have to
same pace.
Yep, the same pace.
The same
you have
things.
You just live in these social bubbles where everyone's expected to conform.
Then you have the high school
and
dating and everything.
yeah, and all that. I mean, there's
middle
this,
school,
there's a,
elementary dating.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And then that's another conversation. Or you get to do it at your own pace. You get to learn in the way that you want to learn, and you still get social interaction, but you get social interaction with people who don't necessarily hate you, and just want you to just be alone, and you can be in these co-ops and all these things, and and just have way more free time. What is the more preferable option?
Well, I also saw the statistic that for a kid who is in public school, the parents will have 90% of their quality time with their kid before they enter preschool.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And homeschool solves that problem a little bit, and because you have, instead of having these faceless government employees being able to teach your kid the Common Core standards, which is just So apparently in California, you can pass with a 30.
Oh.
Because there's so many stupid
That
kids who don't
explains a
study and
lot.
don't know how to read.
You're chill though.
Well,
What?
every few years.
Exactly. Andrew comes from California.
Oh no, we just doxed
That's
him.
what the joke was. There's a lot of dumb people in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, but supposedly every few years, well, not supposedly, it is every few years the like passing test like grades and all of that is lowered. Like the standard is lowered every year.
Homeschoolers are smarter than public schoolers. Like, it seems like a brazen claim to say that.
I wasn't gonna say it, but don't just take our word for it. Look up because there are a lot of colleges right now that are actually accepting homeschoolers more often because they are homeschoolers, because they found out that homeschoolers have a tendency to actually learn what they're being taught more than public schoolers who just learn to pass grades, which then in college, when it gets a lot harder, ends up failing them more than the homeschoolers who have reinstated like the actual like things that they're supposed to learn and just are more familiar with those.
So, change the topic here. Why do you think, like, girls and boys are just so similar nowadays? Like, I kind of I've been thinking about this, and it seems as though, like, the end goal with all this stuff, because back in the day, boys and girls were, like, you know, the girls were, like, just, you know, way more feminine, the boys were more masculine, they had all these differences, and now they're just basically the same, just kind of, like, unambiguous, boring. You know, they don't really do anything. So what do you guys think about that?
I feel like that's like the job of a mother and father to just like notice the like girls and boys have like differences from like a very young age, and that's why boys are super rowdy and they don't want to sit still and they don't
play into that.
Yeah,
don't
and then like
it.
that's why girls like will see a bug and like, you know, get scared, and a guy will be like, you know,
Yo!
look at the bug and be like, that's sick, man.
Yeah.
Or like, go rescue your sister from the bug, you know.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
exactly.
Like that's
which is why, you know, I love all these memes where
I've had
it's
to
like
kill so many
girls,
spiders for my sister.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, like these girls versus boys memes. Like all those are the funniest types of jokes to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like, you know, just intentional
I
dumb
love
sexist.
sexism.
Yeah, I mean like not those. I meant like the
Just kidding.
my
My
like
mother
the
listens,
ones
so I'm gonna make sure that I don't make her mad.
the ones where it's like you know like girls playing, it's like a dollhouse, and boys playing. It's like the greatest war of our time.
Yeah.
Like
And then the social stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was making a reference that nobody besides the 4 people around this table would get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's called an inside joke. You don't normally make those on podcasts with people listening that they don't understand. Whatever. Moving on.
I forgot the mic was there.
But yeah, so more on this. Like, just like specifically teenagers, they just kind of all look the same. They're just in these like gray sweatpants and hoodies
Not us.
with like, or I mean, I guess the only difference now is that like girls will wear booty shorts and then boys will only sometimes wear booty shorts.
Sometimes.
There you go.
Only the jocks.
We have Savage Elijah over here.
No, go deeper.
It's so true though. It's
booty
like
shorts
it's
go
like
deep
a
enough,
baggy
trust
hoodie. Yes. It's bad.
Keep
It just-
expanding on it. Keep going.
like glued to their phones, like, just oh my gosh, it's bad.
Well, I think the main thing is, I think just the world is trying to undo the God-given, divinely inspired masculine and feminine roles.
Yes.
Because it's like the ideas of feminism and where it's like there's so many different things that guys obviously do physical stuff better than girls. Girls obviously do like the nurturing stuff better than guys, and they can handle different stuff than we can. And I think even the small stuff, like trying to make our fashion look the same, or trying to say you can have a guy expressing himself as a girl if that's how he identifies, and we can't do anything to stop that.
Yeah.
Is trying to basically say God doesn't tell you what you can be, which is the same thing with like LGBTQ, where it's like you're not, which is like exposes the hypocrisy and just logical inconsistency of liberalism, where it's like you're born with your sexuality, but you get to choose what gender you are, and it's just so stupid. And then there's also just the where you have like girls are being like encouraged to go and like work the factory jobs that generally were like this stuff that only guys do, and you have like all this stuff where it's like female empowerment, and then you see so many girls online who tried the girl boss life, who tried working the 9 to 5, who tried being single and
It didn't work.
living off of
Well,
caffeine.
it's not that they can't. It's that it's just not, like, it's just completely pointless for them. It's completely meaningless. Like, internally, they're made to be mothers. And internally, we're made to be protectors. Like,
Right.
you can't try and screw those up. Like, protectors, they go out. They find a way to provide for their family. The nurturers, the mothers, they care for the family. Like, it's really not that complicated. And it's really, like, if you look at any other country, the U.S. is really the only country right now that is pushing these. And it's because it's dividing. When you have someone who is, like, a real man versus, like, and a real woman working together, it is such a strong form of unity. And all the other countries, they want that. They want their citizens to have a strong form of unity. But the U.S. wants to keep everybody divided right now. So, and that's a whole nother topic of why they want that.
Division
But that's just what it
cells.
is, though.
Division cells.
Episode name for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Division cells.
even like Nazi Germany, they wanted that.
Yeah.
They wanted the mothers to like give birth to Hitler's soldiers and to like support that and stuff. That was like a good thing for them. And when they researched it and saw that was like coming undone, they were really upset about that.
I definitely think that bringing up Nazi Germany, like, I hate making this just like a political podcast because this is obviously not, this episode specifically is not supposed to be that. But when you think about Nazi Germany, and when you think about all the liberals saying that we're the Nazi side, look at history.
Yeah.
You have one of the first things that Hitler did was removing the power of priests and pastors. Like, there's literally a Hitler quote in one of the books that I was reading that literally said, to be a pastor is to, like, stand in the way of those who need to put the necessary change into the world, or something like that. And then the first thing he did was say that one race is above the others, which for them was Aryanism, and now it's, if you're gay, or if you're
a minority,
anything not
if
white.
you're at all a minority,
Mm-hmm.
then you are
illegal,
yes.
gay.
That's like when people
anything.
started making the All Lives Matter shirts,
Or-
and the left side started getting mad at that. It's
Yeah.
like it's
'Cause
like
they
how
listen,
do you get mad at
value
that?
all lives.
because you don't value all lives, correct? And it's for the clicks. It's
And then-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the first few like what the left would call attacks on free speech were all the Nazis, and the Nazis were the people who like assassinated their political opponents, the people who opposed to Christianity being spoken, said that pastors could not talk on things that actually talked about the real world, or like they were allowed to keep their jobs if they were preaching about stuff and not applying it to daily life.
Hypotheticals.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like the libs were all loving like my body's my choice until the time came.
Until vaccines.
Yeah, until the vaccine.
And then it's your body, my choice.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Where did your phrase go? Yeah.
Again, a logical inconsistency of liberals.
Yeah. But anyway, to kind of wrap this all up, my last question to pose here is what kind of changes would you guys make to your kids' childhood? Like what kind of things do you think need to be different to have like a better childhood and to change things for the better in the future? I've thought about this a lot. I don't know if
I
you
think
guys have.
one important thing is to really show. I think a lot of people. I've seen. I don't know if you guys have seen this like trend going around. I don't know if it's still going around, but where people were ranking what comes first: their mom, their wife, or their siblings.
What?
It is, or sorry, children, not siblings.
Wife.
So it's wife, siblings, mom, and it's like what comes in order of most importance. And it's wild to me some of the answers on there because it really should be like so easy. And I'm not even going to the full thing. Just first should always be wife. The whole point is you are coming together as one. The whole point of your parents, and love them, I'm not saying, and it is a different type of love. So it is like, I'm not trying to say one's better than the other, but your sole focus should be on your wife. Your mom,
that'll benefit the kids.
Your mom's dream for you was to grow you up into a man who would eventually move out and go be and make another woman happy. That is her goal, not to stay with her all of your life. Like,
Yeah.
she might want that, but that's not her goal for you because she knows that's not what's best for you. And your whole point with your children should be to grow them up to then go and find someone and lead their own family. There's one person you're staying with the whole rest of your life. That is who should come. You're literally, in the Bible says, you are becoming one. That person should be first. And so that's what I would say if you're asking, like, what's one thing? I think one of the most important things is, one guy said it very well where he was like, we make it very clear to our children that, like, we both put each other first above everything. And he's like, and that's because we show what we cannot love our children if we do not have a great relationship ourselves. And that goes into the whole, like, continue to date when you are married. Like, don't just call it, like, okay, well, you're married, you're not leaving now. It's like, no, you should still be trying to, in a way, earn that love. Like, you should want to do things for them. And when you truly put each other, like, first, like, a lot of people say that kids are happiest when the parents love them the most. The kids are happiest when they have two parents who absolutely love each other, because just from that automatically stems out into all of their lives.
That's great. I definitely agree with that. I think my word is detach. You just need to get away. Whether that's like the homestead idea, getting some land. I almost just feel like it's unsalvageable here.
Mm-hmm. Give them their own section of your property before you gave them a Minecraft world.
That's interesting. Anything else on that, Cameron?
I definitely think that never let your kids see you anything other than loving them unconditionally. Because if your parents only love each other when it seems like everything's happy and fine, and then suddenly, like, your taxes come in and you're all stressed and they're suddenly disrespecting each other.
Yes.
Your example as a kid is what your parents do.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Like, you are going to, like, in the same arena of knowledge that that you become who you hang out with, you become in your future marriage how your parents treat each other. And of course there's, like, you can turn around and break that kind of stuff, but in general, unless you purposefully turn around and make yourself change, and not just say I'm going to change, but actually go and make yourself change, you're not going to really ever, like, if your parents didn't really, like, if your parents stayed together but just completely disrespected each other in any stressful moment, that's what you're going to do. But if you also overcompensate and just completely, like, act like you're stepping on eggshells around your wife and just never do anything to make them mad and, like, never do anything.
Well, then they can tell that you're fake.
Mm-hmm. And I just think that another thing is show, because, like, at the church that three of us go to, they just finished a Thinking Biblically series, and one of the things that they said, like, pretty much in every single sermon was, marriage is first and foremost designed to be a signpost of the gospel, where you show the husband showing sacrificial love to the church, to the wife, as Christ showed sacrificial love for the church and for the people and for the elect, and how the elect and the saved submit to Christ and follow and deny themselves and devote themselves to Him, like the church is supposed to devote itself and sacrifice itself for God. And when you start saying, oh, this is, like, when you start to think that the goal of that is anything else, it immediately changes that. And just, I'd say the one thing that I'm going to do to make sure is just make sure that every single moment I'm acting as if it's going to be my last moment alive with my wife. Because I was reading this book called The Way of God and The Will of God as a Way of Life, and the author had 4 kids and a wife, and then one random night, like right after, like a year or so after his last kid was born, they got in a car accident. His wife and oldest child died.
Oh.
And it's just, like, completely jarring. Just, like, you're assuming that it's the will of God for you to have your 4 kids and your wife, and then you just realize that that's not always how life works. And, like, I've always, like, there was this one friend who went away for the summer and didn't have his phone, and, like, the last conversation I had with him was an argument, and I insulted him a lot more than I should have, and I just spent the whole summer worrying, like, what is he going to think of me? And then like how much more is it going to be, especially from just thinking about friendships. Like, I always try to think, like, what if this text is the last text I send?
Yeah.
What if this moment is the last moment I have alive? Because we're not promised tomorrow, we're not promised today, we're not promised this next second. One of you could die at any moment.
Yep.
And so many times I think we see our future as a given. Like, one of the problems that I kind of see in myself is I see the homestead future with 700 children and so many, and like 20 other Christian families as a given.
Same.
And that's like a very difficult thing. So
And I sometimes don't stop and think Christ could come at any moment. Mm-hmm. All the eschatology masters could be wrong, and it's like Jesus could come back right now, and also like our lives could be ended right now, and like prepare. Like, one of the reasons that I think we should just treat every moment like it's our last, but prepare for the future, is because we're told to be good stewards. Mm. And if you fully follow it to the YOLO perspective and just spend every day living it up, you're not gonna glorify God with that. But act for eternity, but also act for your future.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of people take this verse egregiously out of context. Jeremiah 29:11, which is, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans not to harm you, but to prosper you."
That's my favorite verse.
Do you know what the context of that verse is? I'm going to test you a little bit.
I don't actually.
So it's when the Lord is talking to the people of Israel who are going through the reign of Babylon, because God handed them over to Babylon and other evil kings and kingdoms as punishment for their sin. And that verse is practically saying, but don't despair and don't think that I'm going to leave you. I have a future for you planned. And so many Christians can just think, oh, this is a promise that we're going to have a good future. When in actuality, in context, it's basically saying, you chosen people, if you follow me, if you honor me, glorify me, then I will continue to choose you.
Right. I think on the note of childhood and all that, I think, the most important thing, besides just, of this earthly thing, just like earth-wise, I think it's like making memories. I think that's one of the most vital things. I think memories are one of the most, just like the most precious thing you can obtain, because it kind of makes you who you are, and I think we could go into that in another episode.
Memories, dreams, all that kind of stuff that shapes who you are.
Yeah, that shapes who you are.
That are not material things.
And I think you.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Because there's this theory that you have no actual proof that the past exists.
Yeah, you're right.
Everything could have just popped into existence right now. And we'd have the memories of the past, and things would exist that we could attribute to the past, but you could literally just say that they spawned in that way.
Yeah, but that's why memories exist, and that's why I think, people our age now, and also parents and stuff, should prioritize making memories. And even if that may involve letting your kids just go out and have an adventure and explore and maybe get hurt a little bit, they'll learn something from that, and that'll make them stronger, and that'll make them into a more unique person and more of who they're supposed to be. And I think that's vital. I got that with my childhood. I think all of us did to some degree as well, and I think that's really one of the most important things. Any last thoughts before we head out?
I'm going to try to keep this as fast as possible, but again, everything that I ever think about has to relate to Tolkien. And so you have The Hobbit. You have the protagonist Bilbo Baggins, who kind of grows up, metaphorically. And he doesn't grow up by staying in the Shire, which, to a Lord of the Rings fan, especially someone who tolerates the movies, the Shire theme and just the idea of being able to live somewhere where all you do is smoke hobbit weed and eat potatoes.
Hobbit weed.
And,
it sounds
world
right now.
So great. It sounds amazing.
So New York.
But then you think about both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, all the characters had, like, they realized that they had true friendship and they had all this stuff by going outside of the Shire, and for Bilbo it was going with a bunch of dwarves to go reclaim a kingdom, and then eventually fighting a dragon, having to deal with, like, temptation from the literal embodiment of Satan and everything.
Yeah.
But then you have, like, he comes back changed. And the reason that, like, it says later that the reason that he didn't completely succumb to the ring was because he had virtue. And I just think that, the last thing I'm going to say on this episode is adventure, like Elijah and Andrew and Weston have been saying, is truly the deciding factor of our lives.
I agree.
Yeah, we need to be on the homestead, but we also have to minister, and we also have to bear fruit, and that always can't be in, safety, in the light.
Yeah. So, we're just gonna wrap it up. Weston, do you have
If
something
anybody
to say?
stayed this long, congratulations, you're not a quitter like most of the other people who probably haven't gotten to this point, or you skipped to the end, one of the two. If so, you're a loser, and we don't want you to watch any more of our podcasts.
Let's just end it now.
But-
We'll talk about this later.
But if you did stay till the end, feel free to
Harsh
leave a
words from
comment or
Weston.
something,
Jeez.
and
Or
you
something.
can give ideas of other things that you would want to hear us discuss or talk about.
Yeah, so thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Patriot Generation. We'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Cue
See
the
you later.
outro music!
We don't have any of that thing. Wait, no, we do. Oh, holy crap. See you later.